It was a typical afternoon when I returned home from school, the air filled with the scent of autumn leaves. As I stepped inside, an eerie quietness greeted me, a stark contrast to the usual bustling sounds of my family. The house felt unusually empty, almost as if it was holding its breath. Dropping my bag by the door, I called out for my mom and younger brother, but no reply came. The silence seemed to press down on me, heavy and unsettling. I shrugged off the feeling, attributing it to fatigue from a long day at school. Deciding to rest for a bit, I made my way to the living room and slumped onto the sofa. The cushions felt unusually cold, but I nestled into them, closing my eyes. The world around me faded, and I quickly fell into a deep, untroubled sleep. Meanwhile, my younger brother was playing outside, his laughter a distant sound in my dreams. He was always full of energy, a stark contrast to my more reserved nature. His innocence shielded him from the odd atmosphere that seemed to have enveloped our home. I was jolted awake by a sense of urgency. Standing over me was my brother, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and excitement. "Mom's calling you," he said, tugging at my arm. "She sounds weird." Confused, I rubbed my eyes and glanced at the clock. It was still hours before Mom's usual return from work. "She's at work, Bud," I mumbled, but he insisted, pulling me toward our mother's room. As we approached the room, a chilling sensation crept over me. My brother's grip tightened. "Listen," he whispered. And then I heard it. A voice, eerily like my mother's, but distorted, as if underwater. Fear prickled at my skin. "Mom." I called out tentatively, but the voice continued, unintelligible and haunting. It was then that my phone buzzed. A call from Mom, still at work. My heart pounded in my chest. "We need to get out of here," I said, grabbing my brother's hand. We raced out of the house, not stopping until we reached the safety of our front yard. I dialed my dad, my voice shaking as I explained what had happened. Time seemed to crawl as we waited outside. Every sound made us jump, every shadow seemed to move. Finally, our parents arrived, their expressions a mix of concern and confusion. Dad went inside first, cautiously checking every room. But when he emerged, he looked perplexed. "There's nothing out of the ordinary," he said. The house, once again, was just a house. Despite the reassurances, the air inside felt heavy, charged with an unspoken fear. My parents discussed in hushed tones, casting worried glances in our direction. The decision was made swiftly. We would leave the house. Packing was a blur. We took only essentials, leaving behind a life's worth of memories. I couldn't help but feel like we were also leaving behind a part of ourselves, a part that would forever remain in those rooms. The drive to our relative's house was quiet, each of us lost in our thoughts, trying to make sense of the inexplicable. My brother clung to me, his usual chatter replaced by silence. Settling into our temporary home, the incident at our house became a ghost story, one that was whispered about at family gatherings. But to us, it was more than a story. It was a chilling reality. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of that day began to fade, like a bad dream. But there were moments, in the quiet of the night, when I would wake up, thinking I heard a voice calling me from far away. My brother seemed to recover quicker than I did. Kids are resilient, they say. But sometimes I would catch him staring into the distance, a frown marring his young face, as if listening for something that wasn't there. We never returned to the house. It was sold to another family, and life moved on. But there was always a part of me that wondered, that needed to know what had happened that day. I started researching, delving into the history of the house and the land it was built on. But every lead turned into a dead end, leaving me with more questions than answers. The experience left an indelible mark on us. Even now, years later, I find myself wary of empty rooms and unexplained sounds. The fear, though dimmed by time, still lingers. Our new home is warm and filled with laughter, but sometimes, in the stillness of an empty room, I can almost hear a voice, echoing from a past we left behind. a reminder of the day our lives changed forever.